Okay, geometry students, in this video we will be starting our study of congruent triangles. We will be learning what congruent triangles means and how it relates to the angles and sides of triangles. Okay, so that's what this video is about today. Let's go ahead and copy your heading down for today if you would please. Your heading is congruent triangles. Please copy that down. The lesson number is 5.1 and be sure and include today's date. Okay? Once again, the heading is, if I can get my pen to work right here, hold on one second. Your heading is congruent triangles. The lesson number is 5.1, and be sure and include today's date in your notes. Alright, let's continue on. Now, today's lesson is pretty easy. Everyone will understand it, but you will have a lot of notes to take and a lot of notes to write down, okay? But the math itself is pretty simple, okay? So here we go. Copy this down, please. Well, not this, sorry. Don't copy this down, okay? Let's start off by looking at a definition of congruent triangles. Now, you're responsible for this definition, okay? So copy this down and take some really good notes. Okay, here it is. Congruent triangles. Triangles in which all corresponding angles and all corresponding sides are congruent. Okay, congruent triangles. Triangles in which all corresponding angles and all corresponding sides are congruent. Okay? Take a second and copy that down. You really need to know that, students. Okay, it's very important you understand what congruent triangles are. You see, students, triangles are only congruent when the three angles in one triangle are exactly like the other three angles in the other triangle, and all three sides in one triangle have to be congruent to the other three sides in the other triangle. It's very important you understand that. Let me give you a picture of this, and I want you to write this in your notes, okay? So copy this picture down. Here it is. Okay, copy that down. Now, I've intentionally drawn one triangle so it's facing one direction like this, okay? And then another triangle that's facing a little differently, okay? But notice these two triangles are congruent. And this, of course, here is the congruent symbol. We know that, okay? So this triangle here, let's go ahead and give it some letters, students. Go ahead and put an A here, and a B here, and a C here. Okay, and we'll put a D here, E here, and an F here. Okay, so these two triangles are congruent. Now, here's how I know that. Now, hopefully, you guys are still copying all this down while I'm talking about it. Okay, but look, guys, look. This angle here is 70. This angle here is 70. This angle here is 85. This angle over here is 85. This angle here is 25 degrees, and so is this angle. All three angles in this triangle are congruent to all three angles over here. Also, look at this. This side here has a length of 3. This side here has a length of 3. This side here has a length of 5. This side here has a length of 5. This side here has a length of 4.5, and this side here has a length of 4.5. So not only are all three angles in this triangle congruent to all three angles over here, all three sides on this triangle are congruent to all three sides over here. Students, that is what makes two triangles congruent, okay? That's the definition of congruent triangles. Two triangles are congruent when all corresponding angles and all corresponding sides are congruent. It's very important you understand that, okay? So take a second, finalize your notes here, and then we're going to move on a second. Please understand this. It's very important. Okay, let's continue on. Now, please understand there's another way to show that triangles are congruent without using numbers for the angles and the sides, okay? Let me demonstrate, and I do want you to write this in your notes, okay? So please copy this in your notes. Here it is, right here. Okay, so go ahead and do the best you can to copy a triangle that looks like this. Okay? And then copy a triangle over here that looks like this. Do the best you can to do that, okay? And let's go ahead and give these triangles a name also, okay? Let's call this A. Now be sure and write your letters in the exact same order that I am, because we're going to use this in a second, okay? A, B, C. And we're going to call this D, E, F. Now notice something, students. Please look at this. Notice this angle here has 1 mark, and this angle here has 1 mark. That means they're congruent. Notice this angle here, A, has 2 marks, and this angle here, F, has 2 marks. That means A and F are congruent. Okay? Look at angle C. Angle C has 3 marks. Well, so does angle E. 3 marks. So do you see how you don't always need numbers like we did back here to show that angles are congruent? Or for that matter, sides either. You can use marks, okay? So please understand that. Look at this side here. This side here has 1 mark, and this side here has 1 mark. That means this side here is the same length as this side here, okay? Notice this side here has 2 marks. Now go ahead and put all these marks on your triangles, guys. You have to have them, okay? 2 marks here, okay? So that means this side here is the same length as this side here, and so on and so forth. So please learn to understand, students, how this works, okay? It's really important that you guys see this, okay? I'm going to do something here real quick. Just give me a second. Just ignore this for a second here, guys. Thank you. Okay, thanks. So anyways, understand that there is a way to show that triangles are congruent, or that angles are congruent, or that sides are congruent without using numbers. Okay, we can use marks like this to show that. Now, having said that, let's do something else. Please copy this down. Okay, do this. Now, let's look at writing a congruent statement. This is very important. Students, you have to know how to write a congruent statement. And I'm going to teach you right now. And I'm not bragging, but I'm going to teach you really well if you'll just listen and take some really good notes, okay? So let's look now at writing a congruent statement. Now here's what I mean. Whenever 2 triangles are congruent, we want to state that they're congruent. So please take notes on how I do this. In your notes, go ahead and write this down. Triangle A, B, C. Write that down, please. Is congruent to triangle. Now stop, guys. Don't just put D, E, F. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. When you're writing a congruent statement about triangles, you must write the corresponding congruent angles in the same order. Watch carefully. Notice I put angle A first over here. See that? How many marks does angle A have? 2. Which angle over here has 2 marks? F. So because A came first over here, F must come first over here. It's that easy. I didn't say it was hard. I said it's really important. Second was B. How many marks does B have? 1. So which angle over here has 1 mark? D. So next would be letter D. And then obviously the only letter left over here is E. Okay? Now I want you to try one on your own. It doesn't matter how you write the first triangle. Let's just put triangle, I don't know, back. BAC. Okay? Go ahead on your own, students. I want you to write the letters over here so that your congruent statement is correct, okay? So go ahead and do that. Now, don't pause the video, but just go ahead and try that on your own. Or if you're a little confused, you can watch me again, okay? Triangle BAC. BAC is congruent to triangle. Well, here we go. Let's see. Angle B's first. B has one mark. D has one mark. So D comes first. Okay, second is A. A has two marks. F has two marks. So F would come second. And then lastly, of course, is E. So there we go. Now, if you're like, well, Mr. Earhart, that was so easy. You just swapped these two letters. So I just swapped these two letters here. That's fine. I have no problem with that, as long as you understand what you're doing. Let's do one more, and then we're going to move on, okay? Triangle FED. Okay? I want you to finish the congruent statement on your own. Triangle FED is congruent to triangle blank. Okay? You can watch me or work ahead on your own. You should have come up with this right here, students. Triangle ACB. Okay? Triangle ACB. Now, students, I don't want to bore you to death, but I want to make sure that you really, really understand what we're doing here. So I'm going to give you quite a few of these, okay? But be thankful that the math is easy, and be thankful that I'm going slow and really trying to explain this to you, okay? So here we go. Copy this in your notes if you would, please. Copy this down. Very quickly, please copy this down. And actually, you know what? Hold on one second. This is the one I think that we already looked at, is it not? I think it is. Let me take a look here. So if it is, yeah, it is. So you know what? Don't copy this down. Instead, go back to your notes, way back here at the beginning of your notes, when you guys wrote down the definition of congruent triangles, and then you copy this down, okay? So go back in your notes and look at these triangles here. And what I would like us to do is write a couple congruent statements using these triangles, okay? So here we go. Let's go ahead and write triangle ABC is congruent to triangle. And now you finish it on your own, okay? Go ahead and finish that on your own. Okay? Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle blank. ABC. Okay, well, angle A is first. Angle A is 70 degrees. Over here, angle E is 70 degrees. So put the E first. Next is angle B. Well, B is 85 degrees. So what angle over here is 85 degrees? G. So G comes next. And then the only letter left over here is M. Now let's take this a step further, guys. I would like you to list out the congruent angles, please, and the congruent sides. Can you all do that? Let me show you what I mean, okay? Here we go. Angle A is congruent to angle E, right? They're both 70 degrees. Angle B is congruent to angle G. They're both 85 degrees. Angle C is congruent to angle M. They're both 25 degrees. Now how about the sides, guys? We can do this. Side AB is congruent to, well, let's see. Side AB has a length of 3. What side over here has a length of 3? GE. And guys, you should know by now, you could also put AB or BA or GE or EG. It doesn't matter, okay? Okay, let's take another side over here. BC. It doesn't really matter which side you do next, but BC has a length of 4.5. So what side over here has a length of 4.5? MG. So BC is congruent to MG. Okay, and then AC is congruent to ME. So there we go. So what we did here, guys, don't forget what this is called, okay? This is called writing a congruent statement. Easy to do, but very important. So if I ask you to write a congruent statement involving triangles, make sure you can do that. And then here, I just wanted you to list out the congruent angles and then list out the congruent sides. And we call this listing the corresponding parts, if you want to make note of that, okay? Listing out the corresponding parts. There we go. Pretty simple stuff. I'm going to move on, so if I'm going too fast, just ask the supervising teacher to pause the video, and he or she can do that for you. We're going to go ahead and move on, okay? Okay, here we go. I think we have 2 more of these to do, so let's take a look at this one here. Okay, on your own, go ahead and write a congruent statement, if you would please, for triangle chem. Okay, triangle chem. You can do this on your own or watch me. Okay, triangle chem. What would be the congruent statement? Okay, triangle chem is congruent to triangle blank. Okay, go ahead and do this on your own. I guess first of all, I should give you guys a couple seconds to copy the triangles down. So go ahead and copy the triangles down. And then go ahead and write the triangle over here that triangle KIM is congruent to. Give you guys just a couple seconds here to copy this down. And then write the congruent statement. Okay, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video. So here we go. K was first. And K has 2 marks. So which angle has 2 marks over here? A does. So A is going to come first, okay? Now the second angle over here is angle I. Angle I has 1 mark. So what angle over here has 1 mark? T. So next would come angle T. And the only angle left would be R. Okay? So there we go. Triangle KIM is congruent to triangle ATR. Okay? I really think we're getting this. It's pretty simple to do. I'm going to skip the next example that I have and move on to the last thing I want to show you guys today, and then we'll be done, okay? Now take some really good notes on this. This next part can be a little confusing. So here we go. In your notes, I would like you to copy down triangle XYZ is congruent to triangle MNO. Okay, copy that down, please. I'll give you guys just a second to do that. Now here's what I want you to do while you're copying that down. I want you to list out the congruent corresponding parts. You're like, well, Mr. Earhart, we don't have a triangle. You don't need a triangle, guys. Now you're seeing what is so helpful about having a congruent statement. A congruent statement is so helpful, guys. I can list out the congruent angles and the congruent sides. Go ahead and take notes on this, guys, without even having the triangles. I don't even need them, okay? Watch. Look, guys, what letter came first over here? X. What letter came first over here? M. So I know that angle X is congruent to angle M. Okay? What came second over here? Y. What came second over here? N. So I know that angle Y is congruent to angle N. It is so cool, guys. It's easy. The third letter is Z. The third letter is O. So I know for sure that angle Z is congruent to angle O. Now, how about the size? No problem. What's the first two letters? XY. What's the first two letters over here? MN. So I know that side XY or YX is congruent to side MN or NM, whatever. There we go. Now, what's the last two letters? YZ. What's the last two letters over here? NO. So I know that side YZ or ZY, doesn't matter, is congruent to NO or ON. Guys, that's so simple, okay? And then look, Mr. Aaron, what about the last part here? Well, what's your first letter? What's your last letter? XC. So what's your first letter and your last letter? MO. So I know that side XZ or ZX is congruent to side MO or OM. And there we go. Without having any triangles like this, okay, without having any triangles, I can list out the congruent corresponding parts. Okay, now we're almost done. All that I want to do is this, and we're finished. I want you guys to go ahead and copy this in your notes. Triangle cat is congruent to triangle dog. Copy that down, and I want you to pause the video. I want everyone to list out the congruent corresponding parts on your own. And then whenever your supervising teacher feels that it's time, go ahead and restart the video, and let's see how you guys do, okay? So list out the congruent corresponding parts of these two congruent triangles, okay? Okay, go ahead and pause the video and do that. Okay, here we go, guys. Congruent angles. I'm going to go really fast, okay? Congruent angles, congruent sides. Here we go. Well, C and D came first, so angle C is congruent to angle D. A and O came second, so angle A is congruent to angle O. Okay, that's D right here, not an O, D. T is last, G is last, so angle T is congruent to angle G. There we go. Now sides. CA is the first two letters, DO is the first two letters, so CA or AC is congruent to DO or OD. Okay, last two letters, AT, last two letters, OG. So that means side AT is congruent to side OG or GO or T or TA, doesn't matter. Okay, and then lastly, first letter, last letter, CT, first letter, last letter, CT or TC is congruent to DG or GD, either way. Guys, there we go. Now, I hope this makes sense, okay? This is all you have to learn today. Your homework should be pretty simple, not too difficult. They're going to throw some math problems at you where you have to figure out some missing angles or missing sides. Other than that, though, it's pretty simple, okay? So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email. Let's really quickly review. You are responsible to know the definition of congruent triangles right here, okay? And you should be able to write congruent statements, and you should be able to list out the congruent corresponding parts, okay? All right, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email.